I love the graphics for that.
Oh, thanks. I have to make a new one that's not just about me and has the right date and all that stuff.
Well, it deserves to be about you. It's your show, but
put some other stuff in there,
but yeah, no,
yeah.
it's we need to pay attention to the date. I was noticing like that the font that the whatever the tool is that they, I guess it's a StreamYard thing. Is that?
No, I put that together from a template in After Effects.
Oh, okay, yeah. I noticed the font, like the Benjamin, like the M and the I kind of jammed together, and it was like Benjamin.
Oh, I like doing that with Helvetica. That's all me. That's one of my font idiosyncrasies.
I love it. There you go. See, now I know this about you.
Oh yeah, no, I can talk about fonts forever. Ask my wife. You'd probably prefer I didn't, but
I know. Yeah, my wife is like, "What font is this? That looks like Helvetica new." You know.
Oh, she's randomly asked me a lot of times, and I wouldn't know. I don't know, 8 out of 10 fonts. But the time she's asked, I have known, even if they're pretty obscure. So now it just feels like I'm going to always know.
Working in Illustrator all the time, I feel like I have to know every freaking font.
Yeah, that's actually what makes it easy, because it lists it out and you kind of see it all there, and it just sort of passively reinforces, the memory of that. But yeah, one of my favorite things. But yeah, so comic stuff. You guys both have campaigns going right now. Charlie, you just launched today.
Yep, noon today.
Share that. If shoot. Scroll.com, which I think I put in the comment or the description. Let's share that real quick.
Oh yeah, I need to go grab the public link and share that out, actually.
So doing pretty good here.
Yeah, we're 33% funded in the first. What are we now? 8 hours. So not bad. Pretty happy with the initial reaction to it too. It's been really fun. I'm excited. Yeah. What's really, so here's the thing. I've never done this before, and I think both you guys have seen it already. But there's a mystery cover, and it's actually one of the reward tiers. And all it is, I just posted a blue question mark on a white cover, and that's actually been pretty popular. That and the Early Bird All Covers Award,
which is what I backed. Early Bird All Covers.
Yes, thank you very much. I think you guys are really going to love the. There's the mystery cover. That's been really popular. I'm super stoked about that. Yeah. And I can't tell it, and I've already told people, like, I can't say anything about it. I can't share it publicly until Baltimore. So you won't see it until it either hits your inbox, or if you see me at Baltimore Comic-Con, or that week. Like,
yeah,
I think Friday night I'll share it out after they've had a half a day show, and let Baltimore have their little exclusivity. But I'm pretty excited about it, man.
Yeah,
and
we've seen it.
I can pick it up in Baltimore myself.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be boothed up with Dean Haspel. If you guys are getting the Baltimore newsletters, I'll be boothed up with Dean Haspel and Peter Witowski, as well as my wife will be cosplaying as the librarian at least one of the days. I think she's going to be, for those of you who read manga, she may be Seiko Ayase from Dandadan, or Dandadan actually. But Seiko is this, like, she's pretty sexy. Grandma is what she's called. Like, the main character from Dandadan is a teenager. She calls her grandma, whatever. And but she's like this hot pink and silver haired badass. You'll have to Google her. It's pretty funny, but she looks like my wife. That was what started it. And we always joke my wife has silver hair because she's married to me, and so she may go. So anyway. But that being said, we're having a great campaign so far. Really love it and appreciate the support from everybody. And I was really stoked. That cover, I had to change that last night. This one right there, the Julian Shaw one, because up until last night, I only had the tones. The colors weren't in yet. So that literally arrived yesterday afternoon. And I was like, holy crap. So I went through and I had to change all the reward pictures and all the add-on pictures, and then I had to change that picture there too. So a lot of fun. But yeah, exactly. A little it was funny when I had asked Julian, I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to do iconic? Do you want to do a scene from the book? What do you want to do? He says, ooh, what kind of fun stuff do you have in the book? And I was like, well, I'll just send you the script. And so I sent him the 24-page script for that story, the main story. And Julian, he messaged back, he goes, I want to do the wardrobe malfunction. I was like, sweet. So he captured the heart of the whole book, right? Just right there.
I love the look of horror on their faces.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because if you look at the two people on the right, coincidentally, they're the Australians. The guy and the gal there are both like, oh crap, and then you have the two on the left who are going, Gecko on the fence are smiling even. And you get Hack there, like just ready for battle. He didn't care. It's so funny, the differences.
Yeah, I love that. There's a lot going on there, which is cool. I love those costume designs too. Those are great.
Thank you. Most of those were designed by myself, with a couple of minor exceptions, and then enhanced and made much better than what I scribbled down by artists. So Phil Cho actually did the two Australians. He did good gosh, the yeah, both of those characters. My brain just farted out. And then Joel Kotahar, he's a Filipino artist. I haven't seen Joel around at all in forever, so I don't. He had some family issues and then some health issues, and then I think he's okay now, but I haven't bothered him. But Joel did both Gecko and Hack. He rendered them out for me. So funny enough, the two on the left were done by one guy, and the two on the right were done by a different guy.
Yeah, cool. Very cool.
Thanks.
And awesome interior art as always.
I tried something new this time. Yeah, that's Saul Shivanis. Saul, for the main story, he usually colors for me. So I have him doing the whole shebang. He's doing, for the first 24 pages, the pencils, inks, and colors. So
looks great.
Yeah, he's doing great work. I love the facial expressions for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. And of course, the colors are great. And he's really a nice amount of rendering there, which is cool to see.
And not too over rendered, which I appreciate that too.
Yeah, no, it's not too too rounded, too plastic looking which can happen. Yep. I run into that sometimes, but yeah, looks like nice stuff.
Thanks, absolutely, man. And then, of course, we got a little snapshot of Dean. I'll share some with backers tonight in an update, first day update. I'll share a couple extra pages too, just for backers. A couple of teasers here. So this is a new character. This is a 6-page story that Dean Haspel wrote and created the character, and he intentionally, so it's his IP, but this character is residing in the Zion universe, at least for now, and we'll see where it goes over the coming years. But Dean already told me he's got a couple of different stories for this character that he's going to do, and I will probably either, depending on scheduling, I will probably publish it regardless, whether I run the Kickstarter or Dean runs it. That's always, kind of we'll figure that out later. But yeah, Dean's pretty excited about this, and I am too. I think it's one of those. It's a chance to dig into the weird side of the Zion universe, and throughout this whole book, there's a lot of first appearances. So, in fact, the 4 characters, the villains, Cuatro Cinco, which is a joke. It's a phonetic joke. Those guys are that's their first appearance, published anyway, outside of the source book. And then you'll have this character, Chestface. He will debut, as well as Daniel wrote a story in this one that has a character, Damocles, who's modeled after my godson. He's one of triplets. All 3 have different levels of cerebral palsy, and so he debuts. This story, written by Tom Stillwell and art by Chris Batista.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Lady Pharaoh. She appears for the first time in this book, as well as a couple of the characters from Les Supérieurs, which is they're French named, even though they're based in Manitoba, because their headquarters and their politicians who run them, the bureaucrats who run them, are all in Quebec. So that's actually an internal fight when that story comes out. Not this one specifically, but when they get published in their own little either one-shot or mini-series, we'll play with politics of French Canadian versus everybody else. So I think we'll have a little fun with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about Chris Batista the other day. He used to draw Justice League, all sorts of great stuff.
I
wondered what he was doing.
Stuff. Yeah. I had to get Daniel Hilliard on a cover. Now, funny enough, Daniel doesn't know this, but that scene he drew is very similar to a scene in the first issue where Spider Squirrel's vaulting over a police car. In this case, he's vaulting over a crowd. But Hilliard, his style is so very Ryan Otley-esque.
Yeah.
And one of the things that originally attracted me to DC Stoltner, who's the main artist for Spider Squirrel typically, and who does the Baltimore exclusive mystery cover. But anyway, I got this from Daniel Hilliard, and I was like, "This is perfect," because it's kind of an iconic shot of Spider Squirrel anyway. So
Yeah,
I love it.
I love how he doesn't overwork the white areas, which I always tell myself I'm not going to do, and I always do. I always admire when somebody's like, "Oh, they managed not to do that." One of these days, I'll figure it out. And of course, the mystery cover again, but yeah, lots of awesome stuff here. I'm glad it's off to a great start, and
Thanks,
yeah, it's good to see.
I appreciate everybody's support, and super thankful for my collaborators who are back in the book, and my longtime backers. Got a good percentage of brand new backers too in this first day, which really excited me. I saw a lot of new faces on Twitter who hadn't heard of me before or weren't following me, and then all of a sudden started following me and backed the book. So that was really
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's always great to see, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, doing good. All right, well, probably go back to this one, but I'll switch over to Rook and Knight, I think.
Yep.
Let's do it.
On that.
By the way, Dan, your artist hit me up.
The Bags Bros?
Vasco.
Oh. For art or for coloring? Because I know he's been looking for.
Bit of both. Yeah, he just offered up his portfolio. It was really fun. I love when people do connections like that.
I love it, right? It's really fun.
Because then I can go, "Hey, Dan, is he good to work with?" If he's not, don't say it here. We're
He's
live.
good to work with.
I know. I figured as much. He seems like a super sweet dude.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Rook and Knight also doing really good.
You're in the 18-day countdown, man. I'm kind of jealous. I'm ready to be done already.
I'm at the stage where I'm like, why hasn't this funded yet? Why?
You'll get there. You're in that slump area. It'll skyrocket the last week.
Yeah, I'm also comparing it to last year when I had made the goal by now for both American Dreams and Night Raft. So Night Raft is also just I never had a book fund that fast ever in my life. So.
Right. I mean, give yourself some credit because I mean, it's a thick pool out there. I mean, Charlie Stickney backed, I think, 9 or 10 last I counted campaigns that all launched today. So we're in the thick of a very heavy crowdfunding season.
Yeah, and I did. I really don't really. I complain all the time about the big publishers getting into the Kickstarter space. I of course backed the Labyrinth. Kickstarter for one of the hardcovers, just the regular Labyrinth hardcover. Because I was like, I don't really need all 3 books. I just really want the original graphic novel.
Yeah,
I just want a little fancy.
I really don't mind the big cover. We talked about this before. I don't mind the big publishers being on here. I don't feel like they take away from what we're doing. I think they add visibility to what we're doing, if anything. Honestly,
yeah, I for the most part agree. It just does. I can certainly see why it rubs somebody the wrong way to see not just Boom Studios doing it, but doing it with the Power Rangers. I get it.
It's like a weird ethical area.
I struggle with. Yeah, big IP, big licenses. I do struggle a little bit with that one. That's gonna fund first day, first minute, and have $1 million before it's over.
Yeah, that's my issue would be kind of more on an ethical ground, if anything.
I can see that. Yeah,
my god! It's like they don't really need it, and it's for a big property. So I guess it's just them trying to save a little bit of money.
Yeah, I mean it's ultimately a pre-order, which I guess isn't really that different than other things. But and at the end of the day, I always go back to that's one more person who's comfortable signing up for Kickstarter. Okay, that worked out pretty well. We'll go back there and check out other things sometime.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. But yeah, when you see that, you're just like, all right, I don't know.
It could be worse. It could be what happened to me. I think the Saturday morning or Sunday of after I launched when some schmuck backed $5,000 and then pulled it.
Oh,
On yours?
On mine, there's been a big troll activity lately too.
Oh man.
So it's like you're finding out like there's no way I'm funding. As soon as I saw the amount, I'm like showing a couple friends. I'm like, this is not kosher. This does not smell right. And they're like, yeah, it's probably a troll.
Yeah, probably.
So be wary. There might be someone who might do that to anyone's book at the moment. So
Yeah.
but we also reported them immediately to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Who went basically, this doesn't smell right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's Vasco's cover, by the way, Charlie.
What's that? Yes, he did send it to me actually.
Yeah. Did he show you the Holmes Phantom cover he did as well?
Maybe. He showed me he sent me a whole portfolio of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't remember exactly what was what, but I saw this and I was like, oh, I recognize that instantly. So
yeah,
I love that cover. Great stuff. I love the kind of animated color hold thing he has going on there. Looks great.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This one's my favorite though.
Sally's,
this one has like
that one's dope.
Bam. I like that one a lot.
Cover's on fire.
I do, that's the cover of the ones that you have. I think that's the cover that will shine on a shelf in a comic store. You know what I mean? Like that's that one won't get. What I mean is, let me say it a different way. That of the cover, the three covers that I remember anyway, is the least likely to get lost on a shelf.
Yeah, it's the contrast, which I think is like, I think a warm color and a contrast where you've got like almost white versus almost black is just gonna always look so impactful. And there was a Jim Lee cover, I think, where they had, for some reason, maybe it was like a Fortnite tie-in of some kind, but it was Snake Eyes and Batman fighting.
Oh yeah.
And Scott Williams Alex Sinclair threw this like kind of explosion effect, like what you've got there in the background, and it like I've tried to emulate that in every cover I've done since, almost that has any is close enough to relate to that. Just so I'm like, wow, that really popped, and I think this has a lot of that happening as well.
Yeah, it does. It's really good. I mean, like I said, and that's not a knock on the other covers. This is a specific content. Highlight, right? Is I think all the covers are great, but I think this is like when Band of Bards puts it on the shelf. That's the one of the three covers that I think I would like really emphasize.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good, man. Yeah. This is the value. We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago. The value of having variant covers of different sorts, right? Not having a ton. You don't need a ton of variants. I mean, you can go Last Ronin on people if you want to, which had, I think, the first volume had. I bought the hardcover. It's this thick of the covers for a 5-issue series, or you know what I mean? Like it's this thick for variants.
Because that was just a cover gallery.
That's all it is a cover gallery, and that's 2 per page, right? Because of back front back. So you could do that, or you could do what Pat Shand has always talked about is do an iconic cover, do a fun cover, and do a cover from inside the series. Anything more is gravy if it's good.
Yeah, no, awesome stuff. And I've read this one, so I know how good it is. Great. This is true of a lot of comics I've been reading from crowdfunders, is people working with existing kind of ideas and just using them to hit the ground running, to get to the part of the story that you really want to tell, the interesting part, the angle you're taking on it. And this one does that so well. It's the perfect mix of really efficiently using stuff that I'm used to get me kind of set up, to then I have the tension to spend on the things you're introducing that are unique. And I can give that the exact right amount of attention, I think, as a reader. So I thought that was really cool and really well done here. When other characters popped in, I was like, okay, I see what they're going to be doing. I'm learning exactly what I need to from their reaction to these people. You have a really good sense of how long these characters have known each other, the tensions between them. So I thought this was a really, really well done, new concept that, is obviously exists within a superhero universe and has those sorts of conventions we're all used to.
Daniel, give me the elevator pitch on this. Well, not just me. I mean, everybody listening. Okay.
So Brooklyn Knight, they're a father and son vigilante team, and they're waging this brutal war on crime, but they're starting to fall apart on this at the seams as a team and as a family. And it doesn't help there's this new strange drug on the street called Sky, which is starting to cause a little havoc.
Well, that's another thing. I'm a huge fan of fictional drugs running amok through, crime-ridden cities like Nuke or something from RoboCop 2. So
Like this is New York City, so New York City, so it's like it's really funny because you've read the part of the book. Or they actually go into Hell's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm not doing like Daredevil's Hell's Kitchen. I'm doing Hell's Kitchen I know, which is basically Restaurant Row for a theater district.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always thought Hell's Kitchen was fictional until I actually visited. I had no idea.
No, it's real. It is like calling it. Everyone used to go, no, it's called Clinton. It's never not Hell's Kitchen anymore.
Yeah.
We still call it Hell's Kitchen. We just sell more of a kitchen now.
It's just when I first moved to New York, I was watching a documentary, and it was weird for two reasons. Any New York documentary, I can't get enough of those. I really like them. And it was about, I think it was made in like the mid 2010s. Or no, it would have been early 2010s. And it kind of followed 5 people in a building that was converting to to a co-op. So they really didn't have the money to stay, but they were kind of all expressing their different feelings about it. One guy was like a dude that you've seen on Law and Order like once a season, kind of an actor that like, oh yeah, that guy, but he wasn't hugely successful. There were a few other neighborhood characters, and then there was one lady who I was sitting there thinking like, what do I know her from? And her name was Ivy Supersonic. And we had actually, my first job out of college, we had done work for her because she knew the guy that did Ziggy Comics, and we did work for him as well. And she had this weird concept of a Scrat, which I guess was also used in an Ice Age movie, and I think exhausted a lot of energy fighting this legal battle against Blue Sky or whoever produced that movie. But it took me half of the documentary to be like, I know I've had some interaction with this person. I just can't think of why. And it finally just hit me halfway through. But the whole point of the documentary was that Hell's Kitchen was a pretty, rough but decent place to live. And now it's, through the roof prices and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Condos everywhere.
But God, it's a great place for food for theater.
Yeah, I suppose. I used to play football over there on like, I think I'm going to say like the high 50s and just right by the river. Yeah. So we'd always bounce around over there after the games. Fun area.
I didn't know you played football.
It was a flag football in like a pickup league. It wasn't no, I never played actual football. I wanted to as a kid, but my high school is called Moeller. It's in Cincinnati, and it's a really good football high school. Like half the people that go in there play college ball. And I think when I started high school, I weighed like 85 pounds. So my mom would not let me play football. She's like, you're going to get just run over by some kid who's 250 pounds and is going to get a scholarship to Ohio State next year. You're not going on that football field. So it was, she found it's like, look, you're going to get messed up. You're not going to be able to wrestle. And she was right. That would not have been a good decision for me.
And speaking of schools, actually kind of make a nod to the prep school I went to for most of my middle school and high school. And it's Brooklyn Prep. It's really, anyone who goes to Brooklyn knows it's technically it's a knockoff of Poly Prep. But
yeah,
I may not have the warmest fuzzy feelings for that school at this day and age, but still have that old school connection. Kind of. Unfortunately, it's like I'm writing the script. I'm like, yeah, it has to be Poly. But we're gonna call it Brooklyn Prep instead. So I'm not sued. But it's always because you see the White Tower.
Yeah.
We now have some add-ons. We have some new rewards. We're actually clicking up some new rewards now too, just because we're noticing a couple trends. Sort of trying to figure out some new digital deluxe trends.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. Yeah, it was always a struggle to think of good digital stuff to do for campaigns.
Yeah.
I love these cards. I have such nostalgia for any of those old 90s card series. The movie, like there were these Batman cards for the movie that were great. All the X-Men cards, the Marvel
Jurassic
cards.
Park set.
Oh, okay, cool.
Basically, what happened was I was 4 or 5. We had my birthday party at the Prospect Park Zoo, and one of the goodie bag stuff was the trading cards for Jurassic Park, and I have a nearly complete set. We had so many of these cards left over after the party.
Well, nice.
That was
I would still get
years
those
ago.
every now and then. There's a toy store somewhere in Williamsburg I used to go to after I played softball sometimes, and there'd just be any of those old card series you could remember they had for like $1 a pack.
Yeah.
So I'd pick up some old comics for me. My wife can identify any classic car almost, and we like to just I kind of like will quiz her sometimes if there's one I don't know, and she generally knows it. But they'd also have a deck of just classic cars, so I'd get a pack of those for her and see if she could just guess them all by telling. But that was my routine for a little bit. But yeah, I have tons of those old sets of cards just because I can't pass them up when I see them, especially if they still have the bubble gum inside.
But yeah, we're trying to create like a trading cards thing of that nature. At least by the time we go to Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be set up by then, so I can actually do that and maybe have a couple early Rook and Knight copies to sell. We'll see, or give to backers who are at Baltimore, so they don't have to, don't have to worry too much about the fulfillment stuff.
Yeah, and I had a question about that for you. Where are you getting, if you don't mind saying, where are you getting those printed? Because I looked into a few places and I couldn't quite they were just a little bit too expensive to throw in and have printed up.
My PR/Kickstarter guy has a guy.
Oh, cool.
So that's all I know. All I know is that I'm just going to be, all I know is we're going to figure out how to get this stuff out to Lori to, ship, because Lori, like the Hero Studios, is going to be our fulfillment person again.
Yeah, I've used Comic Impressions to do trading cards in the past, and they're good people.
They are.
I've printed books from them in the past. I tend to prefer Comics Wellspring. That's just a personal preference. It's not a knock. Partly because of the calculator on their website. Honestly, it makes it easier for me to figure out
how much impressions in that calculator.
Yeah. But and I'd love for Comics Wellspring to branch out their trading cards. But Pat Shan recently turned me on to another place, and I'll send you a link, Ben. He does trading cards through these guys. So I'll send it to you privately.
Yeah, awesome.
As soon as I find it. So
yeah, one of these days I'm going to have to put something like that together. I just like those old trading card sets so much. So
yeah, and also I also got as my business cards now these trading card business cards because Pete Collins does a whole bunch of business cards for a lot of people in the community, and they're done in the style of trading cards.
No, cool.
I'm trying to get through this set I have now because I want to make an edit. Of course, I'll have my link tree now versus my old kind of Atlas Studio store because I have to get through that first, because I don't want to waste cards.
I was cheap when Pete was doing that, and I was like, oh, that's a great idea, and I went and made my own. But no, Pete does great work, and I highly recommend what he does. He's also a good dude. But yeah, I did the same thing, Dan, except for the thing, X-Men had the little X's in the background on the blue.
Yeah, the tiling.
Yeah. So I tiled the Zion X instead all the way through. So yeah,
I did an August set or just an image of that somewhere. I forget what I used as the tiling thing, but it wasn't as good a fit as I'd hoped it would be. I don't know if I have those around, but I just love looking at those things. And I think one of the guys that does Cartoonist Kayfabe just designed a book that was a complete set of Jim Lee's X-Men, like the first X-Men set he did.
I have it. It's a great.
It looks great.
It's small. It's like a 5 by.
Yeah, it looks small.
It's a weird format. It's a small book, but it's really freaking. I'm like, I flipped through that thing, and I still haven't opened the pack of cards that comes with it.
It came with a pack of cards.
Yeah, it came with a small pack of cards in the back. The old '90s kid in me left them sealed.
Yeah, what's really funny is because me, I'm a huge Jim Lee fan, and I still haven't gotten that book.
Oh my gosh, dude! that was a pre-order for me, brother.
Yeah, I got too many things I want to pre-order and get off Amazon. Like, finally reprinting the second volume of the Clone Saga Omnibus. I'm like, finally, I can finish that goddamn run.
Which one?
The second volume of the Clone Saga Omnibus. I'm like, trying to be a completist.
Oh my gosh, I know the other
Oh,
one was
wow.
done a decade ago. It seems like.
Like it was the first volume was been continuously in print for ages, but the second one went out of print like that, and they haven't reprinted it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Or 5 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been driving me absolutely bonkers.
Hmm.
Because DC will reprint their Omnibus and their Absolute Editions and their exercise hardcovers repeatedly. Or at least they'll have like a gap of maybe a year or two. Whereas Marvel, we have to wait like 5 years just for a reprint of an omnibus.
Yeah, I've never been too into those omnibuses because I just cannot comfortably read them.
Oh, me neither.
Oh, my favorite. All right. So my New Warriors one got read for sure. Oh, those August cards are dope.
Yeah, one of these days I want to do these for real. But this was that series I think you're talking about with that gradient background, and the logo in there, which really fun.
August is really good. I read so much.
Yeah, if you need help formatting or whatever like that for whomever you decide to go with, let me know. I'll help you out.
Cool.
I have also, by the way, used Vistaprint for honestly.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. I looked into them for some stuff, but I forget what. It wasn't cards. But yeah, that's a good idea as well.
I use Vistaprint for, used to work with regular arts, but I use them for like my new banner, bookmarks.
Yep.
Little flyers of QR codes. I use Sticker Mule for stickers.
When you're doing homage cards or like legacy style cards like this, they're great because they're printing. They don't use you can choose a matte finish, and so they feel older when you hold them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have a vintage feel built into them. Yeah, that's what I did with my business card. Is I reduced the gloss down, and one, it was also cheaper. So pardon me for saving $1 because I'm giving away business cards, but yeah, I think they're really good for that. But I sent you the link to the other company, makeplayingcards.com or whatever.
Yeah, I get that's
Pat sent those my way.
But yeah, I'm definitely thinking of when Baltimore comes along, and hopefully I'll have the stuff in time. My idea is to have a bunch of Atlas Studios cards, and me and Joey are discussing ideas for them. It'll be like 3 for a pull, 5 for 2. So you never know what you're going to get. You might get a variant. You might get something rare, but we'll see. I've chosen 3 for 5 because when I was at Nickel City, there was the people selling to my left had a wheel, and you spun it, and it was like 1 spin for 3, 2 for 5, and you could, depending on your landed, you got a prize or no prize. No prize basically being candy if you didn't win anything.
It's not a bad idea.
And that kept it relatively simple.
Are you running Baltimore with Band of Bards or separately?
Separately at the moment, unless they decide to do what we did last year and just split the table. But I think we're talking about at least having someone from Band of Bards there to help me out, given it's going to be just too crazy for one person to do it by themselves. Because you saw what I said on about Nickel City. Someone stole a book off my table.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Listen, I'll say what somebody else said. Just take it as flattery. They thought your book was worth stealing. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It sucks. I get it, but at the same time, like, let it stroke your ego a little bit.
Yeah, well, I was like, that's the Cthulhu Mage Wonderland trade. So I was like, oh no. But it could always be worse. It could always have been worse. It could have been a hardcover, or it could have been one of my CGC books.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And there were a lot of people looking at the CGC books with kind of like I want this thing, and of course, it's like no one ever bought one.
So I it's funny you said that. I actually have a set of 9.6 plus Spider Squirrel certified CBCS graded books that I think I'm going to put up as a bonus add-on.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people do that lately. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I need to do more CGC stuff. That means I have to be able to get away from my table to do so. That's the only downside.
I mean, I could put up this triple signed CBCS 9.8 pre-production because it says Milestone instead of God Quest, Baltimore exclusive. I could put that up there. I just don't know, man.
That's too special.
It's signed by the editor and writer and myself and my associate editor, which is my lovely wife. It
if I had managed to do a signing, like a signed night raft with me and Gabe, that would be a really another story because, that's probably easier for me to get done than what's it called? American Dreams, because given my art team's whole way in Indonesia, it's a little harder.
He's in another country. Yeah, that's pretty expensive. You have to kind of factor that cost in. I was going to have with when I did Milestone God Quest #1, Nito Diaz did the Zoop exclusive cover, and it's a dope cover. And I was going to ship it around the world to get it. I said, "Hey Nito, what's it cost to get a comic shipped to you?" He's like, $50. I was like, "You gotta be effing kidding me! Like, I'm not shipping this book to you, brother. I love you, but nobody else. You're not signing this."
And but like Gabe was at Fan Expo Philly, and my original idea was, it was kind of when I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to Philadelphia for on a day and like give him some copies of Night Wrath and say hi in person for the first time. And I saw the train tickets for short notice to Philadelphia from New York. Normally it'd be cheap, like $20, but because it was like 2 weeks away, woo!
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Which is why you always buy Amtrak early. Yeah, because it would have been like such a short notice, like very short notice, last minute trip, and just to go down for one day. And no, I was not going to pay. Well, it would have been more. Let me put it this way: it was like twice the cost of a ticket to get into the show to go on Amtrak.
Holy biscuits! That's
Yeah.
a lot to make up.
And I was like, because high demand, not many seats left. It was last minute.
Yep.
And in fact, it was cheaper further out. And for those of you traveling in the East Coast via train, buy early.
Actually, we looked into doing that to DC once a few years ago, and we were shocked at how expensive it was.
Like, was it like last minute, or was it like?
No, it was a few months ahead. So we just thought, well, it's the train. It's not quite as fun to do as the, it's not as convenient as driving. It's whatever. We just thought it would be a good deal, basically, and it was, very.
Well, like if it's Northeast Regional is fine. It's the Acela that gets you.
Ah,
yeah. You have to look at the time in the train, because the Acela is the premier train. That's the train that's only business class and first class.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe I just didn't know that at the time. It was a few years ago.
Yeah. So I was going to Terrificon last year with my buddy Reese, who really flew in from England to help me out. He was also staying for like 2 weeks. And we get on the train. Poor guy has to stand from like New York Penn Station to somewhere around Connecticut. Hopefully that was like Stanford and not New Haven, because that would have been a long time to stand. And then he finally sits down. But I managed to get us upgraded to business class seats on the way back. So we actually had assigned seats. It was so much nicer, sitting in a business class seat. I actually dozed off. Somewhere nice. Between New London and like Stanford.
No, that doesn't suck.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I've never.
That's the reason why I'm not going to Terrificon this year, because I had to cancel, because now that my ride, aka my dad, can't take me because he has to fly out to Vegas for his own kind of convention, the Utility Workers Union convention, and they want them there because they're lawyers. They want them there as if they're the point of order. I'm like, I can't haul everything by myself on Amtrak.
No, that would be a nightmare.
They won't let me haul everything by myself on Amtrak.
That would be nuts. My wife just taking stuff down for Mocha for her. She was helping out with a booth for the school she teaches at, and then also a women in animation organization she's part of. The stuff she had to take down there on the train, because we shipped a lot of it to the convention center, but just the other stuff, it was like, oh my God, a crowded subway or a long, light rail, that's going to be a nightmare. But
that's going to make, if I get into Juice in November, and it sounds like I probably will be in some way, shape, or form. I'll get into Juice. Mm-hmm. I told my dad straight out, we are driving. We're not taking the subway. We are driving. I don't care if it's like a 30-minute ride on the Q train for us. We're driving. Yeah, it takes less time on the subway, because that's how subways are in New York City compared to driving from Brooklyn to Manhattan. But no.
See, I'm from Virginia, so I'm so used to driving everywhere anyway that it was just like when people say, "Oh, take the train," I'm like, "Oh, damn, why didn't I think of that?" Because I have a train station 3 miles down from my house. Actually, I have one even closer because they just added a new rail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I never think about it. It's just I'm such a control freak. I want to just drive. Give me the keys.
Well, we're gonna drive down
I
to
got very
Baltimore.
used to not driving places, and then once we moved out upstate, I was like, "Oh my god, this is such a better."
I mean, I'm trying to teach myself how to. I'm studying for my permit. I'm studying for my permit after all these years.
Oh yeah, cool.
Because I want to have that independence, so I don't rely on the outer cocker to drive me.
Let me know when you're practicing. I'll make sure I stay off the roads. You just want to play it safe.
I mean, I'll be probably driving around here because apparently, if you're driving in New York City, it's even more of a challenge.
I don't think it's that bad. It's
not.
People are aggressive, but it's not as bad as people say.
Dude, I drove a 15-passenger van through Harlem, through Midtown, and all the way up through Albany. So I mean, it was no big deal, dude.
Yeah.
It really isn't that bad.
Now go to New Jersey. That's Death Race 2000.
Oh, holy crap! You never lied. I literally the same trip I just described to you on the way back. We hit. So I come through. So we were in Vermont. So as soon as I hit New York from Vermont, it started raining. But it was fine. It was like clear sailing. Now I'm on the west side of New York coming down, right? So
on the Hudson, basically.
Exactly. And so I hit Jersey. Jiminy Christmas. Everybody lost their freaking minds. People were like, I saw two cars rear-ending each other, or two cars, one car rear-ended one car rear-ended another. I was like, little chain reaction action going on there. People were driving like 5 miles an hour. I'm like, it's raining. Just drive.
And that was just the tunnel.
Well, I hadn't gotten to the tunnel yet.
You got into the Holland or Lincoln tunnels at that point?
It was terrible, dude. I kid you not. It was the worst of that
They're
whole
all
trip.
nuts. They're all nuts. There was one time we were driving over there. My wife drives there like a few days a week because she goes from here to a school over there where she is a professor. And she's like, I don't want to be a backseat driver, but that person is about to cut across 2 lanes and almost hit me. And I'm like, no, and they did. It was like, I'm mixing up my movie references here that I'm comparing this to, but it was like in the Matrix sequels where the agents would like become a person that's driving in like an NPC car and just like swerve over and try to kill the good guys. That's exactly what they did. They just like went right over, and you just develop a spider sense about it after a while, I guess, because she knows when somebody's about to do something really dumb.
Speaking of traffic, we were going back from Buffalo last week on the 3rd, pouring buckets of rain, and everyone, and like it got so bad that like people were hydroplaning, and like we were getting like rushed back from trucks. It's like, hold on, but that's like holding on to the steering wheel for dear life. And we're like, this is not even before we got into Jersey. This is still upstate New York before kind of that Jersey Palisades highway kicks in. So yeah, that was not the best drive back.
No kidding.
Which is part why we're saying,
I wouldn't learn to drive over there. Although on the other hand, if you make it through that, you make it through anything.
Yeah. Well, if I could, they're like, we want to do Nickel City next year. I'm like, man, for that drive, no. Because 8 hours up, 9 hours back.
Yeah, that's Vermont. I mean, that's Vermont for me is a 9-hour drive.
Yeah, it's like forest for me, and except for the 1 year, so we used to go up to Vermont every summer when I was a kid, because we would rent a house up in Wilmington. And I had bought 1 year The Hobbit on CD, like a kind of audio drama of it. Like a 4-hour audio drama. And the idea was to listen to it all the way up to Vermont. And then we get onto I-95 in the Bronx, and a tanker truck had flipped over.
Wow.
We had finished the audio drama by the time we got out of the Bronx.
Oh, wow.
And of course, if I could also going back to the
that's rough
from last week. But yeah, it's like check which is better, West Side Highway or FDR. West Side Highway or FDR. And I'm checking like I said, basically West Side Highway will shave maybe 10 minutes off the FDR.
Wow.
And it ended up being better anyway. And of course, at that point, that's when the sun came out and things were, so they got really blazingly hot. Anyways,
we've had that a few times trying to get out of the city. We'd spend 3 hours before we get to, to even to midway through New Jersey. It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
So Ben,
Oh.
I don't want to be that guy. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be that guy. Let's talk about August, because you got a campaign that's at pre-launch.
It's coming up soon.
Am I wrong?
You are not wrong at all. So here, I'll show you the pre-launch, and I have some artwork to show off.
It's freaking beautiful, people.
So pre-launch is over at zoop.gg. I think we're going to launch August 1st, appropriately enough. But this is going to be what I'm excited about is it's going to have the whole story, which is issues 1 through 4. So over 100 pages of story. I have a 13-page prequel story from different drafts, tons of design artwork, sketches and stuff like that. And I kind of tried to design this all to be sort of like an art book that really incorporates a lot of the 80s Transformers, He-Man style influences that August was drawn for. And had a lot of fun designing it and, putting together the covers, the interior spreads and stuff like that. Really flexed my graphic design muscles a little bit. But did some new artwork for this one because I was a little worried that my old cover, which you're seeing here, I liked the design and I do like this drawing a lot, but I just thought there's a lot of great books out there. I didn't think it popped quite enough. So this week to redo that main illustration and just really render the heck out of it. Throw a lot of detail in there, just try and make it as high octane and exciting as I could. So hopefully, at least until I wake up tomorrow and take another look at this one and see everything wrong with it, at least that's looking a lot better now, I think. But yeah, so I'm excited to get this one rolling. And if people haven't checked it out yet, the pre-launch is live now, and we're going to be launching probably August 1st, just to make things easy to remember.
Nice.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I really my goal here is. Yeah, this book came out during a tough time as far as shops. Didn't make quite the splash I hoped, but this character is just this is the one I want to write, tons of stories about. So really trying to go in. I want to, take this character who's kind of a mishmash of your 80s heroes, Luke Skywalker, stuff like that. He kind of gets caught up in a situation where he becomes sort of a controversial pariah of a figure. Has to find his way through the galaxy with a very different status than his formerly kind of heroic stature would give him. But I have a lot more story planned for him, so I'm really trying to make this one hopefully make a good impact here with this campaign. And I've got a sequel that takes place about 50 years later. I have a few pages done for that I'm hoping to launch pretty shortly after this one starts to fulfill. So a lot of August on my plate here. I'm hoping it does well and can get people as interested in the character as I am.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. August is my birth month, so I am more than excited to back this book for my gift to myself.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, seriously, I love it. First off,
well, my birth month too.
Oh, I had no idea actually. So, for those of you who didn't know, I've been a fanboy of Scarlet Twilight since I saw the first issue on Kickstarter, and so I get to work with Ben this year, which is the best thing in my life. So, dude, I'm super happy to have met you and get to friend you and work together and everything else. And I'm really, really excited about this project.
Yeah,
seriously.
And I can't wait for my Scarlet Twilight hardcover.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, just got some good news about that today. I think the printer is ready to go finally, and those should be printing up pretty shortly here. So that's exciting to hear. And hopefully
5?
those will be going out the door and showing up in people's boxes. I'm sorry, what?
Is Red 5 slapping the logo on it?
The hardcover is we're doing through Zoop, and Red 5's doing everything that is in the stores. So the ones that are in shops now, actually, if you, I think the last one is still in previews, so you can order that if you haven't. Anybody watching, but those are going to be the Red 5 versions, and I think the trades that we're going to do for bookstores and comic shops is going to be Red 5, and then the deluxe hardcover that's for backers and things like that. That's where we're doing the Zoop versions that are going to come out pretty soon.
Awesome.
So that's been a really good setup. It's been great working with Red 5, and it's been great working with Zoop.
Yeah, absolutely. I was with Jordan last week and totally loved. We had in fact, Jordan and I had a great little moment where we were we both found out that we're a couple of new Warriors nerds accidentally. And so that was really fun. He was he asked the question, he goes, so you're on a desert island. without thinking too much about it, like, what's the one book you're taking with you? I go, I don't know, my New Warriors #1 omnibus. And he goes, oh, and he shows me this Firestar figure. And
Oh man,
we went way over time on that episode because we were just nerding out over our mutual love for all things Fabian Aichiza.
I watched part of that. I don't think I got to that part.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, dude. We neither one of us had any clue, and Jordan and I have talked for like the last 18 months. Like we had private Zoom sessions together and direct phone calls and obviously tweeting and direct messaging and all the other crap and emails and so forth. But none of this ever came up until that podcast. It was hilarious.
Nice. I'm trying to
That's
think
cool
of
stuff. I think I got into talking with New Warriors with them as well, because I'm a huge fan. In fact, one of the only pieces of original art I have is a Begley splash page from like issue 20 or something like that.
Nice.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. That's awesome, dude. So you're another New Warriors fan. Well, I guess you're about my age. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. That was one of my favorites back in the day. I think this is the link for August or for Scarlet Twilight.
Yep, number 4.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, from Red 5 in previews. Yep. So if you're a comic shop or a fan and want to check more out, you could ask your store to pre-order that for you. Hopefully that's still available. If not, you can probably get it from the your store probably ordered it anyway if they're smart. But if not,
and you can also get it at Red 5 Comics.
Bingo. Thank you.
Yeah, always check you can always get it from the publishers. Like you can always get American Dreams from Panda Bards.
Or you can get my books from Zion Studios. I don't know who those guys are, but they're a cool publisher.
Yeah, I like the original art.
All up there.
The original art. You guys know I collect way too much original art and commissions and whatnot. I'm actually looking at. I actually have one page right now in my room of original comic book art, and it's Eddie Barrow's page from Teen Titans.
Oh, nice!
And
it was the Jeff Johns run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And randomly one day I was going through Facebook. I'm like, wait, and like someone posted the page, but like with the actual captions and whatnot. Like, wait, I own that page. And I took a picture of the thing on my wall. I'm like, oh my god, you do.
That's so cool. I don't have a whole ton of original art that isn't from my books. One that I have and love is a Joe Staton Green Lantern page. That I love that. I won that at one of my. So I had gone to Heroes Con for a couple of years, but I didn't know anybody, so I never got a chance to go to the art auction. It's usually a pretty private event. But I kind of hobnobbed with a few. I had pizza with Cully Hamner and Todd DeZago and Mike Ringo, Andy Smith, and I'm forgetting somebody, and I'm going to shoot myself. Oh, gosh, Craig Russo, who's such a sweet dude. And so we all had pizza at Fuel there in Charlotte. Those of you who've been to Heroes Con know where I'm talking about. And then they were like, you want to come to the art auction? I was like, hell yeah. And so I went to the art auction, and that was the only piece I won. But the first piece that went up for bid was it was this gigantic, was it Adam Hughes? I want to say it was an Adam Hughes piece, but it was a Silver Surfer. It was freaking gorgeous. It was like the first piece. Todd DeZago's up there as the auctioneer, and he's like, all right, so what's the starting bid? And I go, $1,000 right off the bat. And then everybody's like, oh, a gasp. And then 2 seconds later, it was like up to 2,500. I was like, yeah, F that.
Yeah.
But I got that Joe Staton piece. Anyway.
The art, I only have 2.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. Joe's going to be in Baltimore again this year.
Yeah. I think I only have 2 pieces of art related to my comics. They're both American Dreams. One is I have 3, and 2 of them were American Dreams. One is the original Netho Diaz cover. The other is the Scott McDaniel hardcover pencils. And the third is the Netho's Night Ralph cover. They sent me as a surprise.
Oh, very nice.
It's like he said, pay me. It's like, hey Dan, they sent me X amount. Like I don't know what amount. But like, give me like 3 options of different pencils. They said basically, oh, we lost Ben. He'll be back. Is like so you have three choices of like tiers of surprise, and I guess choose one. I chose like the lower ones because I could afford, and then he said it was that cover.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Scott is a wonderful human. I have both. I have all three. Sorry, I have 4, 5. Good golly, pieces of original art from Scott. Because every time he does a cover for me, they're my Kickstarter exclusives, and then he did the covers for the trades, and I was like, I can't not buy those from you. And so,
Yeah, I commissioned a lot of art from Scott, usually involving my original DC character that I would like to pitch to them one day. Fingers crossed.
you don't need to see. You're at Band of Bards, man. Do your own thing. Screw
I know.
DC.
Well, this is a character I've been working on for over a decade. Really, the fan character, I really started like little, but like one of those things where, but just for fun.
Ben's back.
But I also own 3 pages.
I'm back.
Batman.
Yeah, our internet after our events the other day, it's been a little spotty here and there with internet. So hopefully that's the last of it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I have 3 pages from. I don't want to say Batman 6. Man, is Batman 600? It's the from the Bruce Wayne criminal fugitive arc, the one before he goes kind of insane and decides to be Batman full time and kill the Bruce Wayne identity because he was framed for murder.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. There are very few Batman runs that I actually read since high school. So after Night Quest, which is after obviously the backbreaking and and everything else, after Night Quest and the Azrael run, I kind of fell off the wagon and couldn't care less about Batman for a long time. And it wasn't until Hush that I read Batman again. And then after Hush, I couldn't care less about Batman until the Court of Owls stuff that came up. And then that was great. And then I couldn't care less about Batman again until Sean Gordon Murphy did the White Knight stuff, which is my favorite Batman series ever. Period. Hands down.
Oh, wow.
Hate me if you want. That's it.
So it's from Batman 600. I own 3 pages from Batman 600.
There you go.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. That's cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, though my favorite page of art, favorite original art page I own is like, and I said to myself basically when I ordered it and I paid the payment plan on it, I'll never have a page from this artist this cheap ever again in my life. And it's my sole Jim Lee page from Superman Unchained.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's a great.
That was some good artwork.
It's not even an action scene. It's the scene. I forget which issue, but it's when General Lane sarcastically clapping at Superman, saying, "This is why you do it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great dramatic scene. I love the drama of that scene. And also because it also has clearly Superman with the S shield on it, and it's like as soon as I saw the price was relatively affordable, I'm like, you know what, I'll do a payment plan and get it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you could probably, if you ever do get rid of it, I'm sure you're going to make a lot more than you spent.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but I like the person like I would never sell this stuff unless it's like an absolute emergency kind of feeling, because like I got these artists I adore and love and sometimes work with, so like I really want to hold on to them.
No, I have that New Warriors page I mentioned, and I have a Norm Brayfogle page from a Superman annual, and it's like, it was really cheap. It was $60 a few years ago, and it was, for me, it was the perfect page. It wasn't like a splash panel, but it was Clark at the Daily Planet. He gets a tip on the phone from some person. He kind of like distracts Lois so he can get away. Goes to the broom closet, does the thing where he rips open the shirt, and then you see like people looking up at a streak through the skies. I'm like, that's the exact piece of sequential art I'd want to have, more than like a splash panel or a cover. It's like iconic storytelling. Yeah, it's like the perfect thing too from my favorite artists. So I couldn't pass that up.
My chiropractor has a Norm Brayfogle, I think, Batman page, and she got it. I don't know how she got it, but it's like really cool. I wanted to tell Norm about it, so I took a picture of it and I messaged him. That was the day he had a stroke. And I did not find out until like 2 minutes later. That's what happened.
Wow.
Well, speaking of Superman and Clark Kent and flying off to save the day, what do you guys think of My Adventures with Superman?
Love it.
Me too.
I have not seen it.
It's
I
really
have
good.
not had time.
Yeah, it's got a
It looks good.
Sean Galloway-esque art style. It's really good, but it's kind of
Mhm.
anime-ish. It's fresh. I've seen the complaints from one person on the internet about it, and I'm like, this person's obviously just watching clips, not watching the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's really good. The changes are, I mean, who cares? Like, so Clark is still struggling with like anxiety and his superpowers, and so when he's nervous, obviously he's not in full control. He's a young, in his nascency as a superhero,
Mhm.
um, and he's still finding his way. And yeah, he got his powers maybe 10 years ago, but obviously he's had to hide them the whole time. So it's really cool watching him come out in so many different ways. And Jimmy's African American, so what? I love the character. He's great.
It's so funny because he's a big conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
really
awesome.
it's cool. It's really well done, I think, and it's
That's a
just
good
a
angle.
super fun, super show. I mean,
And Lois is great. Lois is
she
great.
is.
Yeah, I
And,
like the drawing style a lot.
Yeah. Of course, everyone's complaining about how this is for the first time you see him put on the suit. There's a clip going around. I made the joke is, oh my god, he's gone Sailor Moon. But I think it's just for the one episode. It's supposed to be more like a nanotech suit.
Yeah, I did see that clip where it's like the Sailor Moon transformation thing happening, which is kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, it's hysterically funny,
Mhm.
but it kind of makes it's supposed to be like, I think nanotech, but
Yeah,
off.
when you're making Superman for a new generation, I mean, you remember when Man of Steel came out from John Byrne? There were so many changes that Byrne made to Superman that were new. That at the time were just things like he quelled the Silver Age strength and some of these things, and he brought Superman back down to humanity, and it really appealed to an '80s audience who had Ronald Reagan as their president, and it had so many other things going on. It was a good distraction. I think here too, where you have such a great wealth of manga and anime influence in the West now. Um, I think it's a good time for this art style. I think the changes, honestly, they're superficial enough that I don't really care. And actually, I enjoy most of them. The homage to the blue, and it's not a spoiler because if you've seen any clips at
Mhm.
all, but the homage to the blue lightning is fantastic. Like when he first,
Oh, I heard about that.
yeah, when his powers first kick in, like actually, like through instinct, there's like a blue bolt, and like he takes off almost like the Flash, but like in a blue lightning streak, and it's really cool. And then again, when he's trying to like in the modern day or the current day, he's I guess he's young 20 something or maybe late teens,
I think
and
20 something. He had to be out of
because he's
college.
an intern. Yeah, he's an intern at the Daily Planet, and when his powers like really kick in, like beyond what he normally does on a day-to-day basis, and he goes full Superman. Again, we get the blue spark thing, and I love this because even if they never go there,
Mhm.
for those of us who remember that and before when it was original, that it was cool, So I like it a lot.
I also like who one of the major antagonists of the series is going to be, even though a lot of people are complaining about its design.
Oh,
I
who is going to be?
it's also get a young version of this character. It's a young version of this character too.
Oh, you talking about Deathstroke?
Deathstroke.
Oh,
I
I
saw
mean,
pictures of that.
I saw people complaining. I'm like, are you kidding? It's a young Clark. Why would Deathstroke be 90? I mean,
Well,
like,
he's obviously he doesn't have the eye missing, right?
No, the nod to it is the bang over one of his eyes.
He reminded me of Raiden from Metal Gear Solid a little bit, which I thought, I can see that, especially if he's younger and he's obviously going to get older.
I just love the fact it's Chris Parnell from SNL doing the voice, because Chris Parnell's made his second career doing a voice actor, but he just doing his voice, natural voice, and he's playing like a schlub. Here, he's pitched it differently. It's kind of sinister. It really works.
He does a good job. I didn't know it was Chris Parnell. I didn't even pay attention to that. But
I was like, wait, I know this voice somehow, and I had to look it up on Wikipedia because HBO Max, it goes too fast for me to pause it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad. I haven't watched SNL since like the Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell days.
There's a little bit past that. I don't think there's some overlap.
Oh no, I mean they haven't been funny since then, so I stopped watching.
But like it's Jack Quaid, I think, is Superman.
Yeah, the dude from
He's in The Boys, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of other things.
And Lower
lately.
Deck Star Trek.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that at all.
Yeah, he plays. So if I again, looking at voice actors, I think picture voices and everything. I haven't seen much of it either, but I've seen clips here and there. And like it's a different voice pitch, it's a different voice characterization. And it's really amazing how voice actors can basically change their voice to fit the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's well cast, I think, and it's definitely well animated, and I do like this style, and I do. I love the changes that they've made for today's audience. You know, they're you can argue that it's not for 40-year-olds, but I'll be 48 in a month, and I love it.
I'd say, like, if I was like 8 when Superman the Animated Series came out, so I would say that would be the youngest you would potentially go, and even then I might be like slightly too young. I'd say it would be like 10, 11-year-old would be like the It's definitely a Y7. If you remember.
Oh, my 10-year-old loves it. She thinks it's great. When she and I get to sit down and watch this, she's all about it.
Oh, cool.
Because Adult Swim and everything with advertising as this adult Superman show, but no, it's wholesome. It's amazing.
I can't imagine you really couldn't go too adult with anything Superman.
Oh God, no.
Yeah,
no,
I would never even imagine that.
Yeah, glare to Zack Snyder. What?
But yeah, well, there's that. But I was just glad to see the drawing style of this. I like how it's animated, and I really like the character designs. But I was also kind of relieved. I'm not a big fan of the current DC animated movie style. That's kind of like a cleaner Venture Brothers style almost. It's got the inky outline, really heavy.
I think like Archer style personally.
It looks like Archer a lot too. That's the other. And there's a lot of things that Archer. I don't think Archer actually looks. I think it's a hilarious show. I don't love the way it looks, but I think it's funny and it works really well for the story it's trying to tell and the types of humor beats and the timing it goes for. But anything then that reminds me of Archer, I can't take seriously because it just looks a little bit like Archer, and I'm like, no, I'm in a very different headspace, and I can't quite watch whatever is there. And I was trying to watch the one where I think the Flash ends up in World War II and he meets the Justice Society, which I love those guys, but I just couldn't get into it. I really didn't like that art style. This was so much better.
I think the film, when I was in the part 1 of it, I think the film that struck a bit more of a balance with that design and more of original artist designs was Long Halloween.
I've not seen that one yet, but I was disappointed it didn't look as much like Tim Sale.
Well, yeah,
as I hoped it would.
That's partly. I said it's really hard to animate Tim Sale's designs to a point.
Yeah.
The same way they couldn't exactly do Boland for Killing Joke. They had to incorporate some other artists as well.
That was weird because they clearly did something very different than any of the way those movies looked up until that point. And then I think they were trying to make it look as much like Boland as they could, but it didn't look like him or anybody else. And I thought,
they say in this featurette that they incorporated bits and pieces of other artists from the time.
Yeah. It didn't. That one didn't click very well for me for a lot of reasons. But the art style I always thought was, nobody expected that to look like Brian Bolland. You may as well have just gone a very different way with it, in my opinion. But
But like, I'm looking forward. I actually just put it on my Max list because I want to watch it. The Doom That Came to Gotham.
That's on my list too. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks.
What is that storyline?
It's basically Batman versus H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh.
Batman versus Cthulhu, essentially.
I don't know. For a while there, I was loving the DC animated run, the movies and stuff, and then I just got to a point where I just got it was too many coming out too often, and it just got
there's a lot of overload.
It got so stale, like they all felt flat, and especially compared to like Young Justice. I felt like the Young Justice series was 10 times better than every one of their animated movies. Like it was just, I don't know. So I kind of. Bad me, I stopped watching them. I didn't even watch the Legion of Superheroes one, and for everybody who knows me, that's like, well, it's like saying I didn't watch the New Warriors movie or something like that. Like it's just, I love Legion. I've read Legion since I was a kid because I had my dad's collection, and so I've read every Legion appearance possible, and because I collected the archive. It's like the DC did those archives editions.
Oh, the black and white one. And
no, they're hardcover.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. They have like the striped covers.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, yeah.
I collected every single volume of the Legion of Superheroes one that they ever published, and then I grabbed all the hardcovers and soft covers and trade paper, whatever I could buy, and then of course the current series and everything. But I still haven't watched the Legion of Superheroes cartoon.
I haven't watched a lot of the many of the. You say you can't keep up.
Not the cartoon. Sorry, the cartoon animated series I loved. It was 2 seasons. I meant the movie, the Superman and the Legion of Superheroes.
Wow,
Yeah, it's too much.
I was even aware of that one.
But like, Doom That Came to Gotham looks really good. It's basically Batman versus. It's based off of a graphic novel, so it's based off of Mike Mignola, Richard Pates designed graphic novel. Basically, it's kind of diesel punk versus
That's
steampunk.
cool.
There's also I really liked the version of Gotham by Gaslight, even though they changed things up a lot because they didn't want it. Because let's be fair. Yes, we want to see the original story but sometimes you really want us to be surprised. And it still really worked really well. It's actually really terrifying when you find out who Jack the Ripper is in this version.
Oh, they changed it. Well, now I'm kind of curious. Okay.
I mean, they changed a lot of things. Like they have 3 Robins. Well, 3 Robin equivalents, which come in, which are kind of awesome. Catwoman's a more prominent role, kind of like a more benevolent Irene Adler type.
Okay.
But so they changed things up enough, but it's really fun. And also one I really like, and it's really well. I just bought it to think, oh, let's see how it is. It was really feel. It was Batman Soul of the Dragon. It's basically Batman is kind of a James Bond fighting alongside Richard Dragon, as played by Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Charlie, I can't believe you haven't seen that one.
Which one is this one?
It's the one that's very 70s influenced. It's basically Enter the Dragon with Batman.
And Bruce
what is it called? I need to go check that out.
Soul of the Dragon.
I don't even think I've seen that one. So now
it's like a 70s.
It's up your alley.
It's like a 70s martial arts exploitation movie. It's like Batman is James Bond, Bruce Lee's Richard Dragon. You're going up against Cobra.
It's a Bruce exploitation movie. Oh,
yeah, it is. It really leans into that stuff pretty hard. So it's very stylish.
And a really funky main titles theme. I was like,
yeah,
this works. And it's even set up like a 70s Bond film too, which makes it even fun. And it's very much rooted in the 1970s.
Yeah, that one was cool. I saw
Michael J. White is Bronze Tiger. I'm falling a blank on who's playing Lady Shiva in that, but she's also on the team. So it's kind of like Batman and the Outsiders somewhat.
Oh man, that's
cool. I didn't know they got into that part.
And who's the guy who's had like the most roles in Hollywood? The Asian
Alan
actor.
Tudyk.
What? No, the Asian actor.
Oh,
Daniel.
Well, right now it's Hiroyuki Sanada, but Ken Watanabe, Kari Hiroyuki Kagawa.
As soon as I say it, you're going to say, "Oh, that guy," because I think he plays the O Sensei.
Okay,
not Sensei, the O Sensei.
Give me the title.
James Hong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
James
okay. Oh, wow, he's really old. Yeah.
It's a great cast. It's David Guntoli as Batman, Mark Dacascos as Richard Dragon, Kelly Hu as Lady Shiva, Michael J. White as Bronze Tiger, James Hong as O Sensei, Jamie Chung as Cheshire, Josh Keaton as Cobra, as the main Cobra, Chris Cox as Grip Jagger, Robin Atkin Downs as Schlagenfaust. And that's the main cast. But Schlagenfaust is the original character for the movie.
Soul of the Dragon. So he plays.
Is that Sienkiewicz drawing for it as well? I'm trying to remember.
Oh yeah, that's Sienkiewicz. I'm pretty sure he did the cover. That doesn't look like that in the movie, of course, but
yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. You'd love this. I can't believe you haven't heard of it.
I honestly, probably because I lost so much interest in the DC animated movies that I just stopped and I lost track. But man, I first off, James Hong has been in come on, dude. Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, what hasn't he been in?
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, Kung Fu Panda. I mean, geez Louise, that dude's been in everything. Gremlins,
yeah.
Holy
Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
He's the Seinfeld Party of Five guy.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Is he also in one of the Wayne's World movies?
I don't know.
The dad of the love interest?
I don't know. That's a good question. Wayne's World's another thing. You watch one, you've seen them all.
I think there's only the two. I've seen one a million times. I don't know if I've seen two all the way through ever. So
The
I
guy
could see him
has
turning
been
up
in
there, though.
so much. He was in like the movie version of Flower Drum Song from the '60s, so he's done some Roger Hammerstein. He did Airplane,
Oh,
Blade Runner,
I knew him, Blade Runner.
Wayne's World 2, Balls of Fury, where I think he was the coach. So he's been on a ton of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's
like,
in Lethal Weapon 4. I think he was in just you name it. He's been in a lot.
like I can pull up his filmography right now.
Okay, this is on Max, so I got to go put Soul of the Dragon on my Max watch list now.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy that one.
So who was he in? I have to go back to what's it called? Blade Runner. He was Hannibal Chew in Blade Runner.
He was the guy that did the eyes. So he's in that like a freezer sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Roy Batty and Leon go in, and they kind of rip his containment suit up and presumably torture him until they get to figuring out who Sebastian is or who the next link in the chain as far as them finding their way to blanking on the guy's name. That's the Tyrell that sort of owns the whole corporation there. But yeah, it's a small role, but it's a pretty good one.
He was Li Peng, and he has a very brief role in The Shadow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Very brief. Very brief.
No, I remember that now. Love that movie.
Yeah.
Not a good movie, but I like it.
It's again one of my guilty pleasure. It's so bad it's good movies. I just love the Art Deco-ness and the pulpiness of it.
Yeah, that was a good time to be a kid and a comics fan because there was just so much weird stuff coming out.
I was like 5 when it came out, so I saw it on. So I first saw it on VHS from the Brooklyn Public Library. That's all.
Oh, I nagged my parents every day to take me to that darn movie. I must
that and the Phantom is pulpy goodness.
Phantom holds up. Phantom is good.
I watched the Phantom last year. It's great. Yeah.
No,
it's really good. It's Kevin Jones is one of the femme fatales is great.
Yeah, it's
great.
Really well cast.
Treat Williams is the villain, and he's another actor where he's like, "Oh, I get to play the villain for once. I'm going to play this to the hilt and love it." Another part with the microscope. Well, you're not these anymore.
That's the part I remember. I didn't really like his villain, to be honest with you. I like James Remar as a henchman, kind of. I love him. I know he's not the nicest actor to work with from stuff I've watched, but I've always liked his stuff. And then the other villain, there was somebody who I think is the guy that played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat, is this sort of pirate out there somewhere.
Yeah, the Kibai Sang or something like that.
Yeah, and I liked those guys. I like Treat Williams. I didn't necessarily like him in that. But other than that movie, for all like Dick Tracy, you watch, it's interesting. It's not great. The Shadow has a lot of problems. I think The Phantom is pretty solid. Yeah. I think that absolutely holds up.
I also like the Dick Tracy film. That's also because it has a Oscar-winning song by one of my favorite composers of all time, Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, okay.
And that's how he won his Oscar. Become an EGOT, I believe.
Oh, okay. I think I missed a trivia question a few months ago because of that. I would not have known that, but I know it came. We had an EGOT round, and of course, I didn't know any of them. But an interesting thing about that, I guess Warren Beatty still retains the rights to Dick Tracy in some way, but he has to continue using them. So I think that there's a public access show that he goes on once a year in Los Angeles as Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
To maintain the copyright or whatever rights he has to the cinematic version of the character. And I've never been able to find that stuff online, but I bet it's awesome.
So Patrick
had a Super Bowl commercial, I think, last year, wasn't it? Or
was he? I didn't know that.
I think so. Yeah. As Dick Tracy, yeah, it was something kind of weird. And again, it was the same thing. It was just to maintain the rights.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
I remember thinking
Hiroyuki Tagawa is Kawasaki.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I'm a big fan of him.
Everything. Yeah.
Chrissy Swanson before she went crazy as Diana Palmer.
He was great in Rising Sun. I really liked his character in that.
Oh yeah, great flick too. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it really is.
I haven't watched it forever, but I remember loving it.
I watched it a million times when I was a kid. It was on HBO when I was a teenager, but I'm a huge James Bond fan, so I was going to check it out for him being like a version of James Bond that could have happened in some way. So I always thought of it that way, and it was a good story.
I just love between the Rocketeer, the Phantom, the Shadows,
Oh.
there's like 3 great pulp Art Deco characters.
Oh yeah,
Rocketeer, hands down. I remember.
Rocketeer's the best.
I lit fireworks when I found out that Johnston was doing Captain America: The First Avenger because of the Rocketeer. I was like,
I mean, it's perfect.
It's such perfect timepieces. I mean, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, that movie. I mean, that's the best of the bunch by far. It's amazing you think it wasn't that successful.
Well, it was a little known property, and I guess it was, for some reason it just didn't catch fire, except when it got on home video.
Well, and it's funny, like at the con I was at this weekend, third place cosplay winner was a Rocketeer guy, had the gum on the back and everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was really highly detailed, made everything himself, either 3D printed or otherwise. And he bought a few things, but I talked to him, he came by, and I was like, dude, my wife pointed it out. She was like, look, the Rocketeer. And she knows how much I love Jennifer Connelly. I mean, that movie. And so by the way, another great thing, like, when I heard Peggy Carter was going to show up, I didn't know anything about Haley Atwell, but when they said Peggy Carter was going to be in the Captain America movie, I knew Johnston was going to do the red lipstick, perfect brunette, 1940s perfect woman, right? And there she was. And so anyway, but yeah, so Rocketeer, and then of course Rocketeer there's been a couple miniseries in the last couple of years. There's a couple of one-shots, and there's another series I think coming out this year.
Yeah, and I have the kind of the hardcover reissue they did a few years ago.
The Dave Stevens one.
Yeah.
The slipcase, I got that too. Yeah, I had to.
I don't know if my slipcase was just very nice hardcover, but I also got it. I love this. I have this: The Spirit versus the Rocketeer.
Oh, that's cool. I've never
it's a 4-issue miniseries by Mark Waid, I believe, and it's so fun.
If it's Wade, it's fantastic.
It's so fun, and there's an art change midway, but it works. And there's a beautiful cover gallery where there was a Darwin Cook versus cover where they're about to kill each other, and their respective girlfriends are like, "No, come kiss us," and it's kind of funny and charming, and because Darwin Cook.
And his artwork, man, what a great fit for those two properties.
Yeah, and I would personally if I get to have write a character, would be that book. I would love to write the Spirit. The Spirit is a fun noir character who can go completely bonkers because he's just a fun. Everyone knows the Spirit is this dark kind of noir character, but if you actually read the original Eisner stuff, and I have a small Best of the Spirit by Eisner book on my shelf. He's a funny character. He's a white guy.
I've always thought of him as a funny, not slapstick, but
he's not slapstick though. There could be elements of that from time to time, depending on the fight. But he could be some really charmingly funny character. It's a darkly funny character. And then, I'd like to see a proper Spirit movie made, because I know Brad Bird back in the 80s was pitching something around. There's a YouTube video of the pencil test. I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it in the private chat. And then of course there's the other movie that was out there.
There was also a TV movie starring Sam Jones Jr. from Flash Gordon as the Spirit. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Oh, he did Highwayman, and then we were just talking about.
I just saw the trailer or the intro to Highwayman like a week ago.
I just put in the private chat the link to the Brad Bird pencil test from the 1980s.
Wow,
that they found.
That's so funny. That's weird though that we saw Highwayman in the last week and a half there, Ben.
I had no idea what it was.
Why? Yeah. But I remember when I just followed Sam Jones because I loved Flash Gordon so much. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll scrub through this so I'm not playing the whole thing.
In 1939, Detective Denny Colt.
Brad Bird too. That's pretty cool.
Unsolved cases.
Oh wow, those are beautiful.
This is the pencil test. This is a pencil test that someone found and uploaded. So it's
insane.
Motivating at this point because it's.
I think I have seen this. So I remember Dolan looking pretty good.
This is incredible. I'll tell the press. No, I'll call Ellen first. Don't. I can operate without the normal restrictions.
Did anybody watch the movie? Because the movie looks it looks stupid in the trailer, so I didn't bother. I didn't waste.
I've seen clips. I've seen a Linkara video where they made fun of it, just going through it and just how bad it is.
Like an MST3K episode. Okay.
It's not that. It's more like
it's
it's like a car episode, and it's more going bit by bit, clip by clip.
I respect what he was trying to do with it because he was like, I'm not going to try and make Will Eisner's the Spirit. I can't do that. I can do like Frank Miller's take on the Spirit as if it was part of an anthology, which he made no bones about.
Yeah.
But I think that's fine. It just wasn't. It didn't work out that well.
No, that's a shame. I wanted it to be, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, I'm not going to watch this. And I just forgot about it.
No, it's as dumb as it looks.
I heard it's not that great.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
This looks dope, though.
Yeah, this does look awesome.
Yeah. This would have been like perfect.
Yeah. I think this would have been something that really lends itself to animation as well. I love these atmospheric, and this is before the Batman the Animated Series or anything. He's just pulling straight from Fleischer for the most part here.
Oh, Fleischer stuff. Great. I'm so glad those are in 4K. I need to buy that Blu-ray set.
Yeah.
I know some people complain about it, but like I think most people are like, this is fine. What are you complaining about? Some people are just nitpicky. But I do love the Fleischer stuff because that's influences Batman the Animated Series, especially Superman the Animated Series. I'm just not a fan of Art Deco and the look of it in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the best introduction to that is because before the internet, things could get past you. I mean, they still can, obviously, but like I had no idea about those at all. And the Sci-Fi Channel would play them if a movie got done and there was like 15 minutes before the next, like if a movie got done at like 9:42, they'd throw some commercials on, but they didn't want to just run commercials. They'd play one of those. So I'm like watching the beginning of, I think it was the classic one with the robots. That's like the most popular one.
With the Japanese scientist and everything. And
no, it was that was a guy with like
the bank robber.
Oh, the bank robber. Oh, that one.
He was using the robots to steal the jewels or something.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching the intro to it, and I think I had flipped away. I came in at the perfect moment where you could see how cool it was, but not know it was Superman. And I was like, what the hell is this? It looks like Batman the Animated Series. And I'm just like, the robots are coming in. I'm like, this would be so cool if they made a Superman cartoon like this, and not knowing anything about it. And then, of course, Clark Kent's there, and he ducks. I'm like, oh my God, this is the coolest.
And it's rotoscoping. You can barely tell.
Just that surprise. The fact that I had no idea those existed. This was like 1993 or something like that.
And you can
I had no idea about them. And it turned out to be great stuff. I'm sorry.
There's the influence on that on Sky Captain, which is another one of my favorite little guilty pleasure films. Which is a good film, but it's one of those other films that just couldn't find a life.
Yeah, it didn't have
until home video. But it's just one of those films where it's like, again, ahead of its time, because it was really one of the first all digital backlocked soundstage movies. It really resurrects Sir Laurence Olivier for a pivotal role. And it's also very stylishly done. It's again Art Deco, feels like a period piece.
Oh, it's beautifully done.
It feels like a pulp. It feels like another pulp of like serial adventure.
It reminded me, and it is very much like that. I think as a movie, especially a modern movie, if you look at, I think they were more concerned with getting you to the Himalayas, but then also, the fight in New York City, but then they're going to have that. Is there like a sky ship that Angelina Jolie's on, or it's a submarine or something?
It's like a flying aircraft.
Yeah, these were all awesome things. And then I remember like the romance between Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow was actually pretty good, but they really pushed that to the side. And their bickering and all that stuff was classic, and it worked really well. And I remember thinking, like, if they had just built this movie around that and gotten to whatever cool visuals they could have worked in comfortably with that, the pace of that relationship and that part of the adventure, I think that movie would have been a huge hit. But I think as it was just kind of a demo. It was just a video game a little bit too much. There was just too much going on, and I never kind of got comfortable with the characters.
It was very much a precursor to the digital backlog we have now.
Oh, yeah.
Very much was the pioneer of that. For better or for worse, one might argue.
There's a documentary about the making of it. The guy that he talks about how he got started doing it, how they expanded it from the original plan, they gave more money. All these people that joined the studio and really believed in the project. It's actually, in a lot of ways, more involving than the movie, but it's cool to see.
Yeah. And like, personally, I'm like a person like, if I was, it would be, because I wanted to be a director as a kid. It's like, if I could do it in camera as much as possible, I would have prefer to do that, even though it's now more expensive because everyone just wants to CGI it. But like, tell you about doing stuff in camera just works well because they did all the effects for the most part in like the Bram Stoker's Dracula that Coppola did. He didn't want to use CGI at all, so they actually used some old camera tricks to figure out how to do all the really weird stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like that. Until that times, that looks a lot more real than CGI would ever do.
It does. I think that's so. I've seen so many things that look expensive as hell, and they're just not. Yeah, it's not worth the money they spent on it.
Yeah, it's like all this money for CGI. It's like you could have done like this for like maybe 2/3 the cost, if not half the cost, with a real like physical effects expert.
Yeah.
About the detective, and it just frustrated me. Like you watch, for example, Lord of the Rings versus The Hobbit, and you can tell the difference because yes, they use some blue screen and whatnot in the Lord of the Rings, obviously because there's CGI characters and creatures. But they literally hand built so much stuff for the sets.
Yeah, yeah.
And it feels real and lived in. And I like that kind of physicality in a film. Whereas now it's like, let's CGI everything.
Well, that's how it is now, I guess.
Yeah,
I think the problem is that if you look at a lot of older movies, it's not just that they could or couldn't do a thing, but they were concentrating on like, hey, what I can get in my frame here is all I have. I have to make sure that's engaging, paced well, entertaining. Like, would someone flip the channel on it, basically?
Yeah.
I think when you are doing those two things separately, you're not thinking about that.
Yeah. Now, I was watching Thunderball.
Comics too.
I was watching Thunderball the other day, and my dad, we're enjoying the film. The story's great. The action's great. But then we noticed, like, because it's 4K, it's 4K restoration on Max. It's like, you can really tell the rear projection.
Oh yeah.
Now with that 4K cleaning up versus like you would see it on a DVD. Yes, you can tell it's rear projection back then, but now it really feels like rear projection.
It looks better than the keying they do now with the green screens. It doesn't look that good, so I'll take the rear projection any day. But actually, I got to get going pretty soon, so let's do a quick run through. Just going to put our campaigns up on screen real quick for anybody coming into this. Spider Scroll. No, it's nice to see that happen. Goes up on screen. Is live as of today, doing really well. Rook and Knight from Daniel. It's also doing awesome. This is a great book too. And mine is just in pre-launch, but should be launching August 1st. So if you haven't checked that out yet, give it a look. And as always, guys, thanks for coming. It's awesome hanging out and talking all this cool stuff. And see you all next time.
See you later.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Dan. See you.